Ladies and gentlemen, in the crypto space, today everything is falling. All the crypto prices are going down, and I know that people must be worried thinking, damn, what's gonna happen next? Well, long story short, ladies and gentlemen, I've been telling you that things will most likely get slightly worse before they get way better, and that's part of what we're seeing right now. If we're talking in terms of news though, yesterday I covered something massive for AVAX, for Avalanche. Long story short there is that on AVAX, they're going to be launching or basically storing all the 42 million Californian DMV registries or whatever the frick the exact thing is that they're registering. Even Mark Cuban was crazy bullish on it, and it didn't move the price at all. Now, pretty recently before that, we had Trump say some crazy massive statements. Neither did that pump the price. Right now, we have ourselves Ripple saying they will allocate 10 million USD in tokenized US Treasury bills, T-bills, on the XP ledger, making the first issuance of such tokens on the network. What? In terms of news, in terms of developments, we're at a crazy level right now. And let's be real for a sec. If you guys have been paying attention to just the crypto news for the last little bit, and that's what I cover here, you'd notice that it's getting crazy up in here. U.S. Senator Cynthia Lummis published an official strategic Bitcoin reserve legislation. So what is basically happening in the background is that this whole Bitcoin realm, which includes our altcoins, of course, but Bitcoin is the starting point of it all. It is all of a sudden switching from all this hostility to, you know what, let's make it official. Let's make sure the U.S., which still holds what? $2 billion worth of Bitcoin or so, first of all, does not sell it no more, but second of all, actually uses it strategically. In this case here, by buying more and just having it in a strategic stockpile. Really bullish if you ask me. And again, if you're asking me personally what I think about this whole crypto space, for the most part, they're not really currencies, they're more like commodities. I'm going to be real with you, I agree with that. Yes, Bitcoin can be used as a currency, but so could gold. It just is not that nice for the purpose. I mean, theoretically speaking, in a bartering age, you can use anything as a currency, right? It just depends on how creative you are. But the question is, how useful is it? And if indeed we're starting to measure things up, some cheaper cryptocurrencies, perhaps an XRP or even a Solana for that matter, could be okay, feasible, doable, but almost nobody out there is using Solana to buy themselves 2 cents worth of, piece of candy or whatever. 2 cents? I don't think in Europe you got that anymore. Things are getting expensive, man. I remember back in the day, you could use a few cents to buy some candy. Now I don't think you can do that anymore. Someplace in the world, of course, but not in the once precious Europe or maybe in the US, I don't know. Let me know down below, what's the cheapest price you could buy like a piece of candy for? I really am curious about all the other places in the world. Anyway, realize this. 12 months ago, Bitcoin was under $30,000. ETF approval was still a dream. And actually, I'll show it to you in a few months probably, but I actually have a video from a whole while back where we do some predictions as to what's going to happen in a year from now. And I also have one a few more years from now. But it's really interesting when you start thinking about that. ETF approval was still a dream. Many people didn't really believe that it could eventually come. And now it's here, and now it's a thing of the past. It happened like 6 months back. People are already thinking it's normal, or it's okay, it's cool, easy. No, this is like, wow, you really think ETFs can happen? And they did. A presidential campaign endorsing Bitcoin was a fringe idea. Nobody believed that. Nobody believed that Trump would actually go ahead and say something like this. Even just a few months back, people thought that that could never happen. A whole promotional campaign around Bitcoin and all that. An official Bitcoin strategic reserve policy was lunacy. If somebody said this, you'd get smacked in the face. Even now, as we saw just now with the article I showed you, people still think it will never happen. It's just a stupid idea. But again, they're already holding $2 billion worth. I know it's from seizures, but still, they could just hold that, and this is a fact pretty much straight away. Wall Street embracing the investment case for Bitcoin as a store of value. Again, looking at Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock's own words, and any kind of hedge was merely speculation. Fair value accounting, FASB, made it almost impossible for corporates to hold Bitcoin on the balance sheet. 0 U.S. state pension funds had bought Bitcoin. Now we have +2. 0 U.S. cities had bought Bitcoin for their pension funds. Now we have New Jersey, and we're just getting started. So I'll tell you, steady lads, it's all happening. And there's one thing you all got to remember. We're only like halfway through the year, and it's already been pretty crazy in terms of confirmation. What I mean with that is, a while back, I think all the way back in November of 2022, the bear market ended, and we basically stated, from here on forward, it's going to be up only. And up only means that even though there's going to be dips, the general direction is upwards, right? At least over a monthly outlook. And if we're now taking a look back at the Bitcoin stock to flow model, we already established it all the way back at the start of 2023 that it seems that Bitcoin will never go below 20,000 again. And then eventually we said, well, probably never below 40,000 again. And that trend has still continued, just like it did back in the 2017 cycle and the 2021 cycle. But just to put it into perspective, right now from the way things are looking, as I've stated for multiple videos in a row, it just seems like the super cycle is starting. And I know it's hard for people to think about that when prices are coming down, but you need to have yourself a little bit of a longer term breath and realize that from a monthly perspective, it looks as if things are about to go insane. Just this is usually the point where it starts popping off. It might take a few weeks. It might take another 2 months or so. It might take us another 30% correction before we get into it, but isn't it all worth it if you just zoom out? Again, if you realize back here, if you could have bought within the red area, in hindsight, right? Wouldn't you have done it? If you could have bought right here in the red area, even in the darker blue, for example, yes, there was a big correction afterwards. You might have hated yourself for a little bit here. If you bought in the red area here first, it might have been a big correction. You might have lost half your money in a little bit. But overall, over the next few weeks, damn, would it have been worth it? And that's exactly the spot where we're in today as well. Every time the cycle gets slightly different though. So again, this time there might be some slightly more pain, but the red dots are here. And all I can say about it is it's patient waiting, yes, but don't think about it from a daily perspective. Think about it from a monthly perspective. It'll all be worth it. Anyway, boys, I can keep throwing up these pieces of news with more and more adoption, but y'all just gotta believe it, man. That's all I can say about this. Right now, it's a matter of believing. I personally am too excited for anything to stop what's coming here. There we go. I don't think there's anything that can do so. I mean, in terms of sheer amount of news when looking through here, it's quite okay, but I think we have seen more exciting times with regards to that. I think it's mostly just now the severity of the announcements though, because again, things are going down hard today. It's not been a fun watch on your portfolio most likely, unless you were all in on AVA. I guess that could have been a good day. If you were holding memes though, you probably are not having a field day right now. And yeah, apparently some DeFi coins are doing really well, but a couple of my other bigger holdings have not been having good days. But again, ultimately, just zoom out. Like we said, things will most likely get worse before they get better. It's just the way that the market works. Very often they feed you this crazy announcement, but then the market does the exact opposite of what you expect. Some people here were expecting some crazy to happen at the FOMC, and once it didn't happen, prices came crumbling down. I don't think that's the case though, guys. I think it's mostly just all the little boxes have been ticked off, and so right now perhaps a lot of the short-term speculators on the FOMC have actually sold off their positions that they got into just before it happened. Perhaps it was just to kind of take down that July candle a little bit, because right now August has started and it was already a bullish close, but it could have been even crazier if we didn't see this little fall down the last days of it. Ultimately, the bigger traders and the institutions, they don't take a look at the daily or the hourly whatever chart. For the most part, it's again a yearly game, so take a look at the monthly chart, perhaps some weeklies, and that's also what I want you guys to focus on, not on the day-to-day, but on the month-to-month. And right now as it stands, is looking like a nice come up is in the books. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for right now. Just want to warn you, sometimes things get slightly worse before they get better, but zoom out and realize the general trend that we're in for